Hello, this is Mrs. Sturgeon here to talk to you about how to solve a system of equations by using elimination method and specifically for equations that require multiplication of both equations. So let's go ahead and jump right in. First, what I like to do is just double check that my system of equations is set up the way that it needs to be. And what do I mean by that? I mean that the x's want to be on top of one another and the y's on top of one another and the numbers on top of one another, which is exactly what you see for our example. So we can go ahead and get started. In order to do elimination, you need for the numbers in front of either the x's or the y's to be the same number but opposite signs. So for example, you could have maybe negative 12x and positive 12x. Because if I add those two things together, they would eliminate, which is our goal. So what I need to do is I need to multiply both equations so that we can get the numbers in front of either x's or y's to be the same. So let's go ahead and try to eliminate the y's in this case. It wouldn't matter if you wanted to eliminate the x's, you totally could, but I'm choosing the y's just because. The numbers are a little bit smaller. So that's why I'm going to choose to eliminate the y's. So in order to do that, I'm putting my parentheses here. Now, I need for the numbers to be the same, but opposite signs. Right now, I notice that they're both positive. So I will be multiplying a negative to one of the two equations. In order to get the same numerical value, but opposite signs, 2 and 3. I know I can't multiply 2 by something to get 3, or vice versa, 3 by something to get 2. So basically what you do when you're multiplying both equations is you multiply by the other number. So what do I mean by that? The number in front of this y is 3, so I'm going to multiply the top equation by 3. The number in front of this y is 2, so I'm going to multiply by the bottom equation by 2. Okay, we'll see what happens. Now, I need to make one of these negatives so that I have a negative in the equation, so something will cancel out. So I'll just go ahead and make the top a negative 3. All right, so let's go ahead and play this out. We're going to distribute the negative 3 to all the terms. So it's going to be negative 3 times 3x is negative 9x. Negative 3 times positive 2y is a negative 6y. Negative 3 times 1 is a negative 3. Okay, so the bottom equation, same thing, let's distribute. So 2 times 4x is 8x. 2 times 3y is positive 6y. And 2 times a negative 2 is negative 4. Okay, so now I've achieved my first goal. In front of my y's, I have the same number, but opposite signs. So I can go ahead and do my elimination by putting a plus sign over here and actually adding the equations together. So negative 9x plus 8x is negative 1x. Negative 6y plus 6y, those cancel out, those go away. Next, negative 3 plus negative 4 is equal to negative 7. Okay, to get x by itself, divide both sides by negative 1, and you get x equals positive 7. To finish solving, we need to go ahead and substitute x equals 7 back into one of the two original equations. It doesn't matter which one, you get to pick, so I'll go ahead and just do the top. So we'll do 3 parentheses. The reason I'm using parentheses is because it's x equals 7. So instead of writing x, I need to write 7. Plus 2y is equal to 1. Okay, now let's do the math. 3 times 7 is 21, plus 2y equals 1. Subtract 21 from both sides. You get 2y is equal to negative 20. Divide both sides by 2. You get y equals negative 10. So my final answer is 7 comma negative 10. You always need two variables in your answer if you start the equations with two variables. Okay, let's do one more example. Okay, so same idea here. We are basically going to decide, do we want to eliminate the x's? Do we want to eliminate the y's? In this case, I would say, again, I think it's more appropriate to eliminate the y's only because those numbers are slightly smaller. All right, so let's go ahead and jump right in. You multiply by the opposite number. So if on the bottom you have 8y, then on the top you're going to multiply by 8. If on the top you have positive 5, you're going to multiply the bottom by 5. Now, because of the fact that these are both plus signs, I will make one of my two numbers negative. Doesn't matter which one, just has to be one of them. So I'll go ahead and make it negative 8 up at the top. All right, so let's go ahead and do my distributive property here. So negative 8 times negative 7x is positive 56x. This might be a calculator situation coming up soon. Negative 8 times positive 5 is a negative 40y. Negative 8 times 10 is negative 80. And then distribute on the bottom. So 5 times negative 10 is negative 50. Okay, 5 times 8, positive 40y. And then 5 times 10 is positive 50. Okay, well, actually I think we can do this without a calculator. Okay, so if I add these two together, now negative 40 plus 40, those cancel out. 56 plus negative 50x is going to just be positive 6x. And then negative 80 plus 50 is equal to negative 30. Divide both sides by 6 to get x by itself. You get x equals negative 5. Okay, so after that, let's substitute. Doesn't matter for which equation. So if I want to do the first equation, negative 7, instead of x, I'll write negative 5 plus 5y equals 10. Okay, so let's keep going here. Negative 7 times negative 5 is a positive 35 plus 5y equals 10. Subtract 35 from both sides. Okay, so you get 5y equals negative 25. Divide both sides by 5, and you get y equals negative 5. So my final answer is negative 5 comma negative 5.